Hi, I'm Chad with Move for Guitar. This lesson is from our series Music Theory for Guitar. In this lesson, I'm going to show you more major scale 4 chords and how to build them. First off, if you like the diagrams for everything in this series, including the diagrams for this lesson, you can download our free e-guide, Music Theory for Guitar. And this e-guide will be something that you can study and use as a reference for years to come. And like I said, it's free, so there's no reason not to just go download it. But I am working on it as I'm filming this lesson, so if it's available, a link will pop up on the screen that will allow you to download it. If no link appears, you can look in the description and it'll say whether it's available or coming soon. And if it's not available yet, you can sign up for our mailing list and we'll send you a copy as soon as it is available. Also, if you're signed up for our mailing list, you'll receive all updated versions as well. But don't worry, you don't need the e-guide to follow along with this lesson because all of the charts will be on the screen. And also be sure to subscribe because we add at least one new lesson every day. This is part 4.6 from our series Music Theory for Guitar. If you'd like to go back and start at the beginning, you can click the link on the screen. So now we're moving on to the 4 chords, so building chords off the 4th note of the major scale. And on your screen, I've rearranged all the intervals to match up with the 4th note being the root now. So this is the 4th note of the major scale. We've made it the root now. All the other intervals are corresponding to this new root, just like we've been doing with all the other chords that we've been going over. So if we are looking at this as the major scale, this would be the root right here, what's right now the 5, and then you'd have your whole step, half step, and so on. But now the 4 is the root, and all these intervals are matching up to the new root. So now if we put that on one string, we're just going to build the different chords that we can get, starting on the 4th note of the major scale. And you know, starting on the 4th note of the major scale, that if you build a triad, you get a major triad. If you build a 7th chord, you get a major 7th, so you know that already. We've gone through both of those. Now I'm going to show you the other options. And with the 4 chord, you get a lot of the same chords as you get with the 1 chord. And I'll show you that. Because really the only difference between building off the 4th note of the major scale or the 1st note is that the building off the 4th note of the major scale gives you a sharp 4 or sharp 11. Building off the 1st note of the major scale, it's a natural 4 or natural 11. So when you use the 11 is the only time, the 11 or the 4 is the only time that the chords are going to be different from each other. And really there's only one that's going to be new that I'm going to show you with the 4 chord because it's the one that would be most common for using the 11 or the 4 if you're starting on the 4th note of the major scale. So the chords that match up with the 1 chord are your major 6, that's the same. Your 6 add 9 is the same. Add 9 is the same. Major 9 is the same. And major 13 is the same. So all those chords can be played as a 1 chord or as a 4 chord. And the new one that I want to show you that you can't play as a 1 chord if you're staying diatonic to the major scale is what's called a major 7 sharp 11. And this sharp 11 is a very specific sound to when you build off of the 4th note of the major scale. So all you're doing is taking the major 7th chord and adding the sharp 11, and that gives you a major 7 sharp 11 chord. Or a lot of times it can be called a sharp 4 as well. It just depends who's labeling it. So sharp 11, sharp 4 you'll hear very often, and that is a very specific sound, like I said, to where you're building off the 4th note of the major scale. And I'm going to show you one fingering that is common to the sharp 11 chord. So we're going to start with the C major 7, which you already know this is a drop 3 C major 7th. If we drop this 5th back half a step, that's going to give us our sharp 11. Because a sharp 11 is the same as a sharp 4, so a 5 back half a step would be a sharp 4 or a sharp 11. So if you do that, you end up with a C major 7 sharp 11, and that's a common way you can play that. So basically all this is a shell voicing adding in the sharp 11 because there's no 5th in there, and you can see that this is the major 7 shell voicing that we've talked about multiple times. So here's this diagram again. We're going to go over the chord name formula, common chord symbols, Everything in this column for the 4 chord is the same as what you'll find in the 1 chord, except the major 7 sharp 11. Here's the only addition that we've added to this diagram here. And you can see the formula here. It's just a major 7th with the added sharp 11. Here's common chord symbols. And like I mentioned, those sharp 11s a lot of times will be called a sharp 4 as well. It just depends who's labeling them. So those are chords you can build starting on the 4th note of the major scale, so 4 chords of the major scale. Go ahead and move on to the next lesson where I'm going to show you chords you can build off the 5th note of the major scale, or 5 chords of the major scale. And be sure to download the eGuide. All the diagrams are in there, and be sure to subscribe because we add at least one new lesson every day.